I Plasti dipped my race fairings in the stocktail white here. I used the white Plasti dip. I did some reviews. Searched online for other peelable spray paint type of paint, and it seems like Plasti dip kind of, from what I found in my research, was the best. So that's what I went with. I didn't like the flat white or the flat black that I've done a couple of things on other motorcycles in the past on. So what I ended up using was some white Plasti dip. I have about 4 or 5 layers, I think it was. It might have been 5 layers of white on it over the race fairings here were originally green. The tail pieces were originally kind of like a grayish, metallic-y silver color. Those covered really well. The front fairing here covered okay. Based on other reviews I've seen, people say after I did it, kind of use like a gray base coat to get some coverage. Then the white doesn't lay on quite as thick. I used 5 cans total of the white between the fairing, the fender, these little side pieces here, and then the tail section covered as well. And then I did 2 coats of the pearlizer on the fender, these 2 rear pieces, and the top, and then I think I used 3 of the pearlizer on the front fairing, just as it wasn't quite as smooth. They say you really want to lay on a thick wet coat. I tried to lay on a wet coat on the back pieces were really easy. It's my first time really spray painting, rattle canning anything on this type of scale. So these pieces, were easy to set up, easy to get a wet coat on since they were pretty flat. No worries about possible runs, if you went over just a tiny bit. The fender turned out really well too. Pretty happy with it overall. The fairing turned out actually pretty well as well. There's a couple little spots that I didn't maybe get the best coverage on, or there's one spot that had some bubbles. It looked like it might have been a little applied too thick on like the second coat, third coat, and by like the time the 5th coat was put on, it smoothed out pretty well actually, that you really won't notice it unless you're looking for it. So overall, I'm really happy with the Plasti dip. You can kind of see hopefully the pearl in the video here. It does look really nice in person, surprisingly. You can really kind of see that pearl in person. It's a little overcasty, so hopefully you can pick it up a little bit, but overall I'm really happy with it. Hopefully it peels off if I ever want to change the color. I was kind of tempted to try like the machine gun gray, I think it's called, but with 2 kids and a wife and a house and all the other nonsense that goes along with adult life, I needed something in stock while I had a free weekend. So the white's super cheap at Home Depot. If that's what you're looking to do, that's where I picked up my white from. Home Depot, Menards in the Midwest. That was the price that I could find was the cheapest. Then I picked up some pearlizer at the local AutoZone just because I had it in stock. And then the other recommendation that I read, and it did seem to make a little bit of difference even with the bringing out a little bit of shine as well as protection, was to use some turtle wax. I think it's ice spray wax, something like that. I can throw a link in the description. That's what I use, but it actually, it adds a little bit of, it doesn't feel as plasticky anymore or rubbery. It turned out quite nice. So that spray wax is really cool. I would actually recommend it for anything, even if you don't have a Plasti dip. I used it on the tank. I even used it on the new carbon wheels. So that spray wax is kind of cool. I used to use just a McGuire's quick detailer spray, and I might still use that, but that spray wax seemed like it kind of doubled as both. So I'm really happy with the outcome. So here is another quick little walk around. You can kind of see the pearl here, at least I can on the screen. So it's about 5 coats of the matte white Plasti dip, and then 2 to 3 coats of the pearlizer on it as well. It turned out pretty sharp, I would say. Way better than the green, and then hopefully it peels off okay in the future whenever I want to end up peeling it off. So I would add, the more coats, I believe, the better. hopefully the white holds up. You know, it's mostly a drag bike at this point. I've ridden on the street a couple times just to test some things out, see how it holds up, check its weight. But overall, I'm really digging the weight.